afternoon. We're called to get the start of the Economic Development and Planning Committee meeting, Monday, April 14th, and it is 3:08 p.m. Could we please call the roll?
As a reminder to all in attendance, this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the county's YouTube page. Calling the roll, Mr. Kelly.
Here.
Ms. Turner. Ms. Turner is absent at the moment. Mr. Miller.
Present.
Mr. Gallagher. Mr. Gallagher is absent. Ms. Simon. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Is there any public comment?
No, Mr. Chair, no one has signed in.
Thank you. The approval of the minutes from March 18th. I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes from March 18th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay.
Resolution 2025-0143, amending resolution number R 2023-0372 dated December 5th, 2023, which authorized an economic development loan to Neighborhood Healthcare Incorporated, doing business as Neighborhood Family Practice, in the amount not to exceed $700,000 for the renovation of 13027 Lorraine Avenue, Cleveland, to provide various medical, dental, and pharmacy services to people of all ages, regardless of their ability to pay, by extending the resolution sunset date from 12 months to December 31st, 2025, to allow the project to close.
Thank
And
you.
let the record reflect that Ms. Turner is now in attendance and Mr. Schlepper is also in attendance.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before you start the presentation, I have a general question for you.
Yes.
Given the current economic turmoil, what protections does the county have in place for any loans going forward when we don't know exactly what's going to be happening with our economy?
As you mean, as far as just the general
just
situation?
generally, yes.
Generally speaking, we're just keeping an eye on what's going on out there in the federal government. Fortunately, our department doesn't rely on any federal funds directly for our lending, other than some EPA work that we do. So it's a thing we're keeping an eye on, and we are gauging that. And something I thought about on this particular project as well. I was just speaking with Gina Gavlek, who's here from Neighborhood Family Practice, and she's assured me they have many different funding streams, not just federal. So it's something we're keeping an eye on and that we're considering as we look at, all of the projects. And that's a great question.
Okay, so go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman, committee members. My name's Anthony Stella with Department of Development. I'm going to be talking about Neighborhood Family Practice. Is there a presentation? This was a loan that had been previously approved by this body in December of 2023. And we're going to kind of give a little bit of background and what we're requesting here. So here's an idea of what we'll be kind of going through here. We'll talk about the company, talk about what the project, the rationale for the lending, the type of loan for the project, the sources and uses, analysis of the collateral. We'll discuss the previous approval and what the current request is. So the company is a 501c3 nonprofit federally qualified health center. It serves as a safety net for all sorts of individuals who are navigating poverty, providing pharmacy care, behavioral health, midwife, dental, and they will be having pharmacy care later this year or in early of next year. They'll be having pharmacy services at that site. The new site where they had moved to is 13027 Lorraine Avenue. It was formerly a CVS pharmacy, so the community's excited to have pharmacy services return to that site. They have a long-term lease on the building. It's a 10,000 square foot building, again, offering primary care, behavior services, dental, and pharmacy services will be coming. There is some job creation. So there'll be a total of 29 full-time jobs at this site. 13 of those will be new. This was a previously vacant drugstore, which is now a community health asset. And some of the social impacts, as we see there, 26% of the patients are Hispanic, 17% African American, and they're the designated provider for refugees in Cuyahoga County. The loan, this was a loan that was approved last year by this body. It was a $700,000 loan at a 3% fixed rate interest. Total term of 11 years, was 1 year interest only, 10 years of principal and interest payments fully amortized over that term. And the sources and uses, as was presented last year, is a $2.1 million project, which actually it ended up, going a bit above that, and they had to raise some additional funds. But we provided $700,000 toward the project. The loan security was a fourth position lien because there's already existing debt within the business on between all of the sites combined. And we did an analysis at the time of all the equipment on site and then discounted it at 60%, which we would consider to be the resale value of it. And that value was $2.6 million, giving us a big comfort level on the loan to value of the equipment at 65%. And so the reason we're here today, since I mentioned that this was already approved, the sunset date had expired in December on that resolution number, and we're requesting to extend the resolution so that we can finish the few things that need to be done to get the loan closed. We had a couple delays. First being there was an existing SBA loan that we had to reach out, the borrower had to reach out, and we assisted with that to the SBA to be able to allow us to enter into the capital stack. They had an existing loan that required anybody else coming in, even after, had to get approval. So we had to go through that, which took us a while, and there was some staff turnover with the company and within our department. So we're pretty much ready to close now. We just need to extend the date so that we can get authority to do so. I'm willing to open it up for some questions now, and we also have Gina Gavlak from Neighborhood Family Practice here to answer any questions as well.
So my concern was why the delay, but you pretty well answered that already.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, so there's no downside to the county necessarily to hang on to the funds and we're just hanging there, right, for another 12 months potentially?
Well, we won't be hanging because what we want to do is we'll probably get closed in the next month or two.
Okay.
And we'll be dispersed well before the 12-month date.
Okay, so you just wanted to make it.
We just want to make sure that we get it done. If, you ask for 3 months and then it's 3 months and a day, then we'd be back
So the
here
SBA
again,
loan is resolved?
all of those issues are resolved.
All issues are resolved. Now it's just putting pen to
Now it's just,
paper?
yeah, it's
signing.
getting the documents finalized. And,
Okay.
yeah, which they're 99%
The cost of
there.
the project change because of inflation?
Yes, yep.
And, yes.
But the project is completed. They completed March 27th, and they just had a ribbon cutting this past weekend.
So it's okay. All right.
Yeah, so there's no fear of any additional escalations in
Okay.
costs. Yep.
So the ribbon cutting was when?
I believe it was this past Saturday.
Yeah, they just had it.
So just a comment that I was at the ribbon cutting on Saturday morning, and it's a phenomenal project. They have 8 dentist chairs, multiple doctors' offices. They're going to open a pharmacy in a couple months, and it's just going to provide a high volume of very much needed medical services to the community, and they're up and running, they're ready to go, and it's just a huge benefit for the neighborhood.
Just a question, Council President. Did the invitation go to all of the members of this committee?
I do not know.
Oh,
It
okay.
was not, It was not in my district. It's in Councilman Sweeney's district. I don't know, but I
Since-
think they sent it to everybody.
You do? Okay.
I do.
Any other questions or comments?
I just wanted to ask, and maybe before I came through the chair, so the neighborhood family practice, is there, I've been to those, are they near, is there any hospital? Or anything near where this facility is? This is in Lakewood, correct?
This is in Cleveland, 130th and Lorraine. So I think the closest hospital would be Fairview Hospital, which is quite a bit west from there, yeah.
Thank you, that's what I wanted.
Just have one other question. The loan amount was 3%. I noticed there's different amounts for these loans on these different asks, but isn't the standard loan through the county 5.5?
Standard loans are 5.5. At the time, we did this at 3 because it was a nonprofit, and we're trying to help the project get funded.
Okay. Anything else? And you are going to be asking for suspension on this?
Yes, if we can get it under second reading suspension, since it's the second time through.
For the sunset date, right?
Yes, yep.
Okay. So I'd look for a motion to send this to full council with second reading suspension.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Just one quick question on that. Was there ARPA money from Councilman Sweeney involved in this?
Cynthia's saying yes.
I think there was. So does that change it to the point where we have to do 3 readings because there's ARPA money?
But is this ARPA money?
This is not ARPA money.
This isn't
But,
ARPA money.
but part of the money into this is from Councilman Sweeney's ARPA fund, correct? District 3.
Yes, which was a separate source of funds. Yep.
I just want to make sure that we're not jumping the gun on this, and I have no problem with the suspension as long
Okay.
as that's not an issue. Trevor's coming up here.
This is a lot.
Good afternoon, Trevor Mackler, County Council staff. The legislation in front of you, Mr. Chairman, does not have any ARPA dollars associated with it. Prior legislation that council already approved, I want to say about 1.5 years ago, maybe, give or take, that was the ARPA legislation. So this one is just the fund from the Economic
Okay.
Development Fund.
Thank you. All right, so we'll go forward with the second reading
Thank you.
suspension. Yep.
And did we do an overall vote?
Yes,
Okay.
yep.
Thank you.
And let the record reflect that Vice President Conwell is now in attendance. Resolution 2025-0144, authorizing an economic development loan in the amount not to exceed $2 million to Bridgeworks LLC or its designee to assist with funding project cost of a place-based mixed-use development project located at the northeast corner of West 25th Street and Detroit Avenue at 2429 Superior Viaduct in the city of Cleveland, which will include construction of 219 units of housing, reactivating space near public investments.
Hello, who's in front of us here?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Matthew Carey from the Department of Development, and today I am presenting a proposed $2 million loan to support the new construction mixed-use Bridgeworks development at the corner of West 25th Street in Detroit.
Mr. Carey, how do you spell your last name?
Keri.
Thank you.
So to outline what we'll be presenting today, we will talk about who the developers for this project are, what they want to build, why we as the county would want them to build it, how we can play a role in the development, and where our financing would fit in with the rest of the development's financial structure.
Mr. Carey, if I may, it came to council in 2023 for a $2 million loan to Bridgeworks LLC for this exact same address. And then in 2024, resolution came to us for the same location with the $2 million loan. And it was for extending the sunset date. So is this another $2 million, or is this the same $2 million on a third time it's in front of us?
Chairman, again, Anthony Stella, Department of Development. This is not an additional $2 million. The project had changed scope from when it was initially approved, so we re-underwrote the deal and are representing it as a new ask for, we never closed or dispersed that the original $2 million.
Okay. I would have liked to have known that without the staff having to go in history there to find all this information.
Okay, I appreciate that comment, and we'll be more clear in the future. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I mean, now that we're on it, like, what's the change of the scope? Is that part of what's going to be presented to us? The
Yes,
scope?
that's what this presentation is going to be, but I wanted to find out if this is an addition or if it's just a change. So-
No, they said it's a new project, so I don't know if they're going to talk about the change of scope or just talk about the new project. So I want to understand what's changed.
So the two developers on this project are Graham VC, Michael Panzica. The two bring a wealth of relevant experience to the project. So as you can see pictured there, the two developed the Church and State development, which was a $60 million mixed-use residential above ground floor retail and structured parking development, which is a similar scope in a similar location to the Bridgeworks development, which shows that the development team has the experience necessary to bring a project like this to completion successfully. But Church and State wasn't a one-off for these two individually. The two of them have developed projects in Cleveland and throughout Ohio, including the historic Ohio City Firehouse, where Rising Star Coffee is located, as well as the Weenland Park development, which you can see pictured there, which is a 7-story residential over commercial mixed-use development. So again, the two of them have what it takes to bring a project like this to completion. Talking about what the Bridgeworks project is, it is a 219 apartment mixed-use development. Those apartments will be split between studios, 1-bedrooms, and 2-bedroom apartments, with rents ranging from about $1,800 a month to about $3,500 per month. Those apartments will be located above 199 structured parking spots, as well as 1,200 square foot of retail space. Talking about how the scope has changed since this project was last approved. The project had contained a hotel before, but due to changing market conditions and the availability of different tax credits, or the lack of availability of TMUD tax credits, the project was scaled back from that. So the hotel has been removed from this iteration of the project. Why we would want them to build this project. The project will create a minimum of 10 new to the county jobs. It will also leverage existing assets in the area, including the Irish Town Bend Park, as well as the proposed Low-Line Park, which will run under the Detroit Superior Bridge. Furthermore, this is a transit-oriented development. The site sits immediately along the numbers 22, 25, 26, 45, 51, and 71 RTA bus lines. So it's a very well-connected site to transit, and it also will have a social impact. So per the RFP, where the developers initially purchased this site from Cuyahoga County, 70 units will be set aside as workforce housing. The way that the county will be able to support this development is we're proposing a $2 million loan, which will be fixed at a 4.5% interest rate. It'll have a 17-year term that's 2 years interest only, followed by 15 years principal and interest. And the amortization schedule will be 25 years. That does mean that there will be a balloon payment at the end of year 17, although that's typical for a real estate development deal like this. As you can see on the screen, here are the sources and uses for the project. I want to call your attention to a couple of the numbers on here. For one, the county's loan represents just 2.4% of the total project cost, which is well below the policy maximum of 40%. It is also being used to leverage over $81 million of investment from other sources, with just the county's $2 million investment. Furthermore, the developer is committing over $14 million of their own cash equity, which is they're committing over $13 million of their own cash equity, which is both a tremendous investment in Cuyahoga County and well above the 10% threshold that is the department's minimum for that contribution. They will also be deferring 100% of their developer fee. So in that developer equity number that you see on the screen, that includes both their cash equity contribution and their deferred developer fee. How this fits in with the rest of the loans that are connected with the project. You can see the terms of the other financing connected with the project on the screen. I'd like to call your attention to the amortization schedule. The 25-year amortization is actually faster than the private lenders on this project. And how the county's loan will be secured. So we will be taking a second position subordinated mortgage on the property. A third-party appraisal, which was provided to the county during the underwriting process, indicated that it would have an as-stabilized value of $88.6 million. This would yield a loan-to-value ratio of 60.2%, which is well within the county's 90% loan-to-value maximum. In addition to the subordinated mortgage, the county will also be taking personal guarantees from the development principals, as well as corporate guarantees from all of the major owners of the project. This project was presented with the same terms to the CCCIC Loan Review Committee, and they found that it was a project that was worthy of county support, that represented an acceptable risk for the county, and that it was adequately collateralized. And that's why they voted unanimously to recommend this project for approval to this body. So with that being said, I would love to take any questions that anyone on the committee might have.
First question is any of that $2 million forgivable?
No.
And back where you had your 4 points there, what is the average annual salary of these jobs that's going to be created there?
About $35,000.
Full-time or part-time?
Full-time.
Full-time?
Yes.
Okay. And then under the social impact part of that, what is the AMI for that neighborhood?
So the AMI is calculated based on the MSA, so that's the entire metropolitan statistical area that represents Cuyahoga County and counties outside of Cuyahoga. And it also differs based on the size of the household. So according to Novogradac, 100% of AMI for people leasing from studios would be $68,080 per year, and one-bedroom apartments would be $72,920 per year.
Sure, what kind of jobs are these?
So they're a mixture of retail jobs at the cafe and property management jobs in the apartments.
And what's the status of the Hingetown loan? The other project?
It's current.
Everything's current?
Yes.
Yes, from the last time I spoke with our portfolio manager, that loan was current, because anytime we get a new loan from a developer, we run that by him, and he said that they were current on that loan.
So they went back to CCI for this project, so you started new?
Yes.
So
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
So under the CCIC policy exceptions, the program typically requires that borrowers create a minimum of one job for every $50,000 lent, but this project will create one job for every $200,000 lent. Is there a reason, that it's going to be that different from what is normal?
Yeah, certainly. So like I had mentioned earlier, the project scope had changed for this project, and in the department's judgment, this project represents a critical investment along an extremely visible corridor. It's really like the gateway to downtown, the corner of West 25th and Detroit, and also is very valuable in terms of how it can leverage other county investments in the nearby parks. So, and it also represents a capital investment of over $80 million. So for that reason, the department chose to bring it to CCCIC with that policy exception in place. Furthermore, it was determined that the project needed this financing to move forward.
Okay. So, and then this one has the interest rate of 4.5%. Again, it's varies from what, is there a reason for that?
Yes. So the reason for the lower interest rate is to lower the county's risk on the project. So by taking that lower interest rate at the longer amortization schedule, we bring the debt service coverage ratio up to 1.20, which is the county's policy like minimum for the DSCR.
Okay.
Just one follow-up. So it's the position of the county department that this project could not proceed without the county's investment? 2 million? You don't think this project could happen without this?
The project is underwriting very tight right now, and the county's funds will certainly increase the probability that this project will be able to actually happen.
Let me, and maybe this is a different discussion about how many opportunities we turn down and which ones we're accepting and how we're managing our portfolio, because this is 2 projects from the same, people kind of. So I just want to make sure that we're being equitable in how we're determining where this money goes.
That makes sense to me.
So I'd like to have a meeting on that at some point. Mr. Chair, not for today. Okay, thank you.
Yes. You have a question, statement? Yep.
Following up on Ms. Simon's question, approximately how many economic development loan proposals do we have currently in the pipeline at some stage of consideration?
I'd have to defer to my economic development administrator to help me with that one.
So the question is, how many kind of leads do we have in our pipeline?
Yes, how many?
We have about 20 leads. We don't have that many applications in. We probably have 4 applications that we're currently reviewing, and each one is just basically reviewed on whether it fits our programs, and then whether it will, meet underwriting requirements. That's really the consideration that we put into the review.
And what's the typical number of economic development loans actually executed per year?
I think historically it's been around 7 to 9, somewhere around there. We're looking to do more now that we're fully staffed this year. We'd like to do a lot more.
And do we have sufficient money to do more?
Yes.
Okay.
Follow up on the president, if I, sorry.
Follow letter.
Just follow up, and this is for a separate meeting, like, are we actively going out finding projects? Are we just waiting for people to knock on our door? Are we relying on GCP? What are we doing?
We are actively going out. So, to be honest, the past year, we hadn't done a lot of that because we didn't have the staff, but we are planning sort of how we're going to do that now. We're in the process. We're using our 5-year economic development plan as our guideline of how to go about doing that.
And who would be the lead team on that? Who would be leading that endeavor?
Basically, our department, so Director
Okay.
Paul Herdag, Deputy Director, myself, and then the rest of the team. We'd all be involved in doing that.
Yeah, that's good, because it just seems like we've been an arm of GCP the last year, and maybe that's because of staffing, the last couple years, actually. So I'd like to see us a little more involved.
Yes, we definitely want to be out in the Through the full county, yes.
Okay,
Can I go now?
yep, go ahead.
Through the chair, when was the county brought in about this project? I want to say my knowledge of it, if it sits right there on the corner, is it across from Malachi Church? Is it that?
It's right,
that-
yeah.
Yeah, so been in conversations about this for years. So I guess now it's finally coming to fruition. But how long ago does that go back? Because I think they bought the county building, engineers building, or that spot, or that
About
land.
2 or 3 years or so.
Okay,
yeah.
it's been
Yeah.
that long. Okay, so now we're just getting to the point of building. So to be clear, because I think maybe Councilwoman Simon, for the previous 2 million, that's null and void. That's what they were.
That's correct, yes.
Right, okay.
That money
So this
wasn't-
will just be 2 million going forward with the
Yes.
new scope and plan?
Yes.
Okay. So then my other question would be the 70 units for workforce housing. How is that? Because I'm always an advocate to push for housing for, lower income. So can you give me a little bit about what the workforce housing's going to do? Because I'm assuming that the rates will be cheaper for the individuals living there if they're
So-
working in a workforce?
The per square foot price will be roughly equivalent, but they'll be occupying smaller units in the development. So the overall price to those people will be low enough that it falls within what was agreed upon when the developer purchased the property.
So I'm still not understanding. So the individuals in those 70 units, I get it that they're smaller, but why are we calling it workforce training? Are they actually involved in some kind of workforce training?
No workforce training, just calling those workforce housing.
Workforce
So
housing.
the people who will be, providing workforce to area businesses can afford to live in those houses if they make up to 100% of area median income.
So the rents will stay the same, they'll just have smaller space, correct?
Relative to area median income. So they could still change if the area median income changes, but they'll be signed on to 100% of AMI, rents affordable to 100% of AMI.
Thank you for clarifying.
Okay. Thank you. So I would look for a motion to move this forward to full council.
So moved.
Second.
And second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ask that my name be added.
Sure. Add Ms. Conwell's name, please,
And Turner.
and Turner
And for the record, that was for second reading.
for second reading.
Thank you.
That's correct. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Through the chair, can you also add my name to 0143, the first one?
Noted, thank you. Resolution 2025-0145, authorizing a grant incentive agreement with Canon Healthcare USA Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $1,471,526.02 to establish their headquarters at 10500 Cedar Avenue, Cleveland, for the period May 13th, 2025 through May 12th, 2035.
Director.
Good afternoon. Paul Herdig, Department of Development. I am very pleased to come before you today to speak about an incentive agreement which will result in bringing Canon Healthcare USA's national corporate headquarters to Cuyahoga County and create a substantial number of new jobs. With me today is Mr. Suneo Ime, commonly known as Neo, from Canon Healthcare USA, and Tom McNair, Cleveland's Director of Economic Development, is on his way over. He texted me. He'll be here shortly. It's also Council Day for Cleveland. If we could bring up the presentation. We have an overview, but before launching into the description of the incentive and the project, I want to state we do not often bring incentive agreements to council for approval. We bring these when there's special situations and circumstances. So a couple of the special circumstances here are, number one, we have the opportunity, along with partners, the state of Ohio, the city of Cleveland, the Cleveland Clinic, to bring a major international corporation's headquarters here, Canon Healthcare USA's USA headquarters. The second aspect of this that's special is that we are using money that was created by the project. We are not taking $1.5 million from the county's Economic Development Fund. We are spending money that came into our fund only because of this project. And the amount is odd because that's the exact amount of a loan payoff that was generated for us by this project. So in a sense, the project is paying for itself. We'll get into more details on that. That said, next slide, please. Okay. As with all of our projects, we have information under a couple headings on the project, the company, the project itself, the reason we want to invest in this project, and the details of our incentive. Canon itself is a well-known brand. Some of us may have Canon office equipment in our offices, but specifically Canon Healthcare is one of the leaders in medical imaging and associated technology. They are very active in the medical space, imaging, diagnostics, healthcare IT solutions. They specialize in some of the advanced imaging equipment you see at the clinic itself and other major hospital chains, digital radiography, ultrasound, CT scanners, this type of equipment. And they support, by using this equipment, you get diagnostic accuracy and treatment efficiency. A little more in Canon. It does have global reach, Canon Healthcare. This is the American outpost, and Canon's business model involves embedding itself and being very closely allied with major medical institutions, such as Cleveland Clinic, so that it is participating in advancing the technology. Here at the Cleveland Clinic location, Canon has acquired a building that has sat empty for a while. This was a building, some members of council may remember, was constructed in the hopes that a subsidiary of IBM would locate there. There was a startup company launched right here in Cleveland. They were sold to IBM. IBM was ready to put them in this new building. Then came the pandemic, and that building has never been used. So in another aspect of this project is it will revitalize what had been simply a vacant building sitting there at the end of Opportunity Corridor. This project, in a sense, anchors one end of Opportunity Corridor along with the Meyer Grocery and the apartments above Meyer Grocery that the county has also supported. It will help to support the overall development of Opportunity Corridor, which has been a priority of the city of Cleveland and has had county support over the years. The project does require substantial capital investment. There's refitting of the building for medical research purposes. There's a significant amount of equipment that Canon is bringing in to do this, and they're refitting what was going to be IT to medical research. This will then be the foundation for Canon's comprehensive work here. In addition to the headquarters and the research facility, Canon already has brought training here and will grow that presence of its training by having its national headquarters here in Cleveland. And the new jobs that will be created, 50 of these will be very well paid, $150,000 average and up, and it is hoped and expected there will be another 100 new jobs created of at least $80,000 average salary in the various functions. Turning to the reasons this is an important project for us to support, as noted, we will have at least 50 new, very highly paid full-time jobs in the building itself, right on Opportunity Corridor. And the incentive is structured so that it gives Canon Healthcare USA the incentive to create at least 100 new to the county, also well-paid full-time jobs associated with this work. Again, we leverage what's currently a vacant building into a space that's being fully utilized and has the Canon and Cleveland Clinic brands associated with it. And this will help, again, to develop Opportunity Corridor and therefore bring up the entire community. Turning to the details of our incentive, again, it's an odd amount which exactly matches the loan payout. It's a little bit under $1.5 million over 10 years. It's important to note that none of this money will be paid up front. Every bit of this will have to be earned by Canon documenting it has in fact created the new jobs that were promised. So on an annual basis, we will receive our standard job creation report from Canon that we receive from our other companies we invest in. Our staff will review that. If necessary, it will be audited, and only after we've done that will we proceed to give a disbursement within the terms of the incentive for the new jobs that have been created that year. There's also an agreement in writing that the new jobs must be retained for a period of time. So the 50 new jobs, the headquarters research jobs, have to be retained for 7 years. The additional 100 jobs that it's hoped will be created would have to be retained for a period of 5 years. And there's a clawback provision in the agreement, enforceable, that if the jobs are not retained, the county is entitled to claw back the incentive. So we've done all that we can to assure that this incentive is narrowly tailored to, in fact, support the creation of the jobs. With this said, I welcome any questions, and then we'll bring Nao up, and Director McNair, if he's made it, will also be available.
So I have a question about the annual disbursement of $10,000 per new job. So if employee X is hired and there's a $10,000 disbursement for that job, if that person is retained the next year, is that another $10,000 for that person? And so on and so on?
Yeah. So Chair, no, only one incentive payment per job. The retention requirement is simply to keep the $10,000. There's no additional payment. The retention is required so we don't claw back the money.
Okay, so it's a one-time $10,000 for that employee?
Yes, sir.
Right, okay.
For that job.
What has changed this to allow it to be a grant and not a loan?
So to the chair, in negotiating the incentive package with Canon Healthcare USA, which also includes very substantial contributions by the state of Ohio and the city of Cleveland, in negotiating that, it was expressed to us by the company that they would only be able to receive a grant with a clawback rather than a loan. The legal posture is similar because we do have an enforceable written agreement for the clawback if the jobs are not maintained, but by structuring it this way, they treat it on their books and in their financial system as what it is, an incentive rather than a loan.
Okay, so while you're on incentive, what is the incentive from Cleveland and Ohio?
So Director McNair can get this more precisely if I'm not accurate, but in general terms, the state of Ohio is providing a 10-year tax credit at 2.842% based on a payroll of $7.5 million, and in rough terms, that translates to about a $2.1 million from the state of Ohio. That's their tax credit. City of Cleveland passed legislation authorizing a 5-year tax credit of half of the payroll tax, and that's valued at a minimum of $468,000 on the 50 jobs, and it could be more if more than 50 jobs are created. And the final piece of this is that the City of Cleveland is entering into an extension of an existing commercial tax abatement on the property. That's being extended so that it provides a total of 9 years of real property tax abatement to Canon at 60%. And Tom will correct me if I get this wrong, but I value that at about $1.8 million from that source. So you can see that our incentive is part of a fairly sizable package that was negotiated to bring this headquarters here.
Yeah, I just have a question through the chair to the director. How is the amount of years determined? Like the 7 and the 5? How do you get?
Thank you, Councilwoman. We have a standard length of time that we like to see jobs retained. It varies between 5 and 7, depending on the project. And in this case, because the 50 new jobs are going to be created quite quickly, they were given the 7-year retention program period. While it may take longer to create the additional 100 jobs, they were only given a 5-year period. It's all kept within a 10-year project lifespan. So our agreement is for a total of 10 years.
Okay, so when does that date, so for the 100, When does that start? When they actually find the first or hire the first person?
The effective date of the agreement will be shortly after hoped for council passage of the legislation, and the clock will start on that date.
Councilman Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And so, does the 10-year total lifespan of the deal mean that for phase one, that Cannon has 3 years in order to create the 50 jobs, and that it's 5 years for phase two?
That's correct, Council President, 3 and 5.
And any incentives that are not earned, we would just not pay those out, and they would stay with the Economic Development Department. Is that correct?
That's correct. If the full amount is not earned, it's not paid out, and it remains in Economic Development Fund available then for general projects.
Thank you.
Sure. Where did the headquarters move from? Mayfield? Or
So Councilman, when Neo comes up, he may go into more detail. Currently, there is a presence in Mayfield, and it's been there for about 2 years now. There actually was a public event to celebrate that, but it's always been expected, and we've been actively negotiating, as has the city of Cleveland, to get them to bring that operation into the Cleveland Clinic area.
yeah, that makes sense. It's a good project. I just wondered, and well, I guess I can ask the gentleman about what will happen to the other space in that district, but that's it, I think.
Okay.
So the incentive, this would go forward without us. I mean, the property was purchased, there was a groundbreaking, I think, in February for the purchase, before council had an opportunity to hear about the project. So in my mind, that means it probably could have moved forward without the county's participation.
To the councilman, in the negotiations which took place over the last year, the county incentive was an important part of those negotiations, was rather heavily negotiated. And we made it very clear to the company, and it so states in the written correspondence, it's subject to council approval, but they were in fact relying on this as part of their decision.
Was there a different way to get it to us sooner before, having a deal of this magnitude contingent on us?
Councilman, the rules, the procurement rules of the county told us to do it this way.
Any other questions or comments?
Put my name at it.
Add Vice President Conwell's name to it, please. And Turner? Okay. Look for a motion to move this forward to full council for second reading. Sorry? Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
To the chair.
Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Mr. Neo, as he's commonly known from Canon Healthcare USA, is here.
Thank you, Chairman and committee members.
we're not
Thank you
asked at this
to having us. You asked,
Sir, can you state your name for the record, please?
I'm sure. My full name is Tsuneo, Tsuneo. My last name is Imai, spelled out I-M-A-I. And I'm with Canon 44 years and been in the U.S. about 32 years now. Just to let you know, Canon globally, it's an 86 years old company. Now here in the U.S. since 1965, so it's a 60-year-old company. And as you know, Canon is a professional photography and business machines and semiconductor security and medical. So now is the time to strengthen our medical business. Then we decided to move to Cleveland. I personally moved from New York 1 year ago and to Public Square. And also some of the functions medical moved from Southern California to Mayfield. So we're very excited to have this headquarters functions and a building and everything. The building is already designed, first floor, nothing but a medical diagnostic imaging equipment. It's 5 MRI machines and 4 CAT scan scanners, an X-ray and ultrasound. And second floor would be our main office. So it is now we contracted the general construction company Panzica, and that's our design and build company already going. And you asked about the length of our commitment here in Cleveland. We do have a strategic relationship agreement with Cleveland Clinic. So that's, of course, very important for us to do the joint research and clinical collaboration partnership for next 10 years. And we also secure the ground, which is a part of the Cleveland Clinic main campus. We have a 50-year, 50, not 5, 50-year ground lease agreement to Cleveland Clinic, and optionally additional 50 years. So that's kind of arrangement and commitment that not only the building itself, the property we secured as our own property, but also the ground lease. That's why the 50 full-time jobs and additional 100, I think that's aligned with our strategy and direction with our property in Cleveland Clinic. So we're very excited to be here.
Thank you. It sounds like you're here for the long haul and an exciting project, and it's going to be good for our community.
Just the question about Mayfield, what happens to that location?
So currently, we already have the research center. And as you know, not only researchers in personnel, but also we have equipment there. So we're just temporarily using the facility. After moves to the new building, of course, they will stay there. So, so that's the plan.
Thank you.
Through the chair to Mr. Neo. And I'm glad you answered that in terms of your partnership with Cleveland Clinic, because I was going to ask, was that a reasoning of why Canon wanted to come here because we're so hospital rich? We have,
That's exactly the reason.
Okay.
When it comes to the medical imaging renovations and development, we really need to have the collaboration and input feedback from a major medical center. So we intentionally chose, well, Cleveland Clinic too, we chose each other for that purpose.
Will you also reach out, I don't know what the contract is, if it's sold, just working with Cleveland Clinic, but as I stated, we have Metro, we have UH.
Correct.
So you will still be?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Miller.
So, good afternoon, welcome, and wish you every success. And my question is to what extent are you sourcing products or parts overseas, and to what extent will the current uncertainties over tariffs affect your company's operations here in Cleveland?
Thank you, the President, that Canon has been always in globally and international business. So if you rely on one country, one nation, and of course, exporting to another countries, of course, there's a risk. Not only tariffs, but also exchange rate, the foreign currency exchange rates, and so forth. So Canon, all along, really, 86 years history, we actually put research centers here in the US, Europe, Australia, and also manufacturing, so that we're not heavily or solely dependent on the Japan, for example, the one country's the development and manufacturing. So we try to mitigate that risks that we have so-called philosophy, a global philosophy called Kyosei, which means living together. Means if you live together, you live here, and you invest in locally. It's not, if you export the product to other countries, you're actually earning in that your own home country. So our philosophy is actually not only philosophy, actually doing is we actually make a living here and reinvest and create jobs. So that will, I think it's, yes, tariffs is, for example, temporary, hopefully, is a challenging, but also our scope is research and development, and of course, doing business here locally in the U.S. and Cleveland would mitigate the risks.
So we appreciate your willingness to navigate these uncertainties and wish you the very best of success.
Thank you very much.
Any other? Councilman Schlepper.
Hi there. Through the chair, I just had a question about growth. We're incredibly excited to have your organization gracing our city and our county. It's really important that we have these types of partnerships as we look at the next 30 years in Cuyahoga County. So what type of growth or projections surrounding growth do you have, and how do you hope that that growth will continue in the next even 5 to 10 years?
Thank you very much for the question. As of today, the Canon Medical and Canon Healthcare, some of the companies are all over the place. In New York, California, Minnetonka, Minnesota, some other, not medical yet, but other manufacturing in Virginia. So now we just moved the National Training Center, National Training Academy from Southern California to Mayfield Village. So because we're not only developing the product, but also we have to provide the training and academy and education. So the way we look at this is we start consolidating all those medical and healthcare companies we have here in the U.S. And Training Academy, National Training Center, the move to here is the first step, of course. Now we have the research centers. So we are seeing this, the growth and development next, you said 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, as our consolidated Canon healthcare medical operations.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? All right. I'll make a motion to move this item, the full body of council, for a second reading.
I had a second, but someone else did as well.
Okay, 2 seconds. All right, very good. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Thank you.
And can we clarify who that second was?
Yeah, who was the second?
Ms. Turner?
Turner?
Well, I thought so I don't think there was a motion made.
I made the motion.
He did.
Okay, you made the motion and
Okay.
she made the
Okay.
second.
Okay, thank you.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Okay, very good.
Resolution 2025-0146, authorizing an economic development loan in the amount not to exceed $920,800 to Cantonese Classic Seafood Incorporated or its designee to create productive reuse of 41,469 square feet of space in the former Cleveland Food Bank facility located at 15500 South Waterloo Road in the city of Cleveland.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Aaron Kinney with the Department of Development. I will be presenting the Catonese Classic Seafood Relocation Project. With us this afternoon, we do have Mr. John Catonese to join, one of the owners of the business. Today, we'll be going through the owner profile, project scope, the economic development rationale and why we would participate in this project, the county loan, sources and uses of the project, and collateral analysis. A family-owned business, the Catonese brand has been a staple in the community since 1982. I think we learned of a story of Mr. John Catonese selling fish out of the back of his 1971 Dodge Dart some time ago. So talk about humble beginnings. I don't think they are doing that and participating in fish sales and seafood sales that way any longer. They are a trusted brand and follow the strict guidelines from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. They practice 3 components of sustainability: social responsibility, environmental stewardship, and traceability. Not long ago, the Cleveland Metro Parks approached the company to purchase the Catanese property on Cuyahoga River in order to attract visitors in the community to the riverfront. Considering the opportunity, both owners had the desire to stay within the city of Cleveland and within Cuyahoga County. The goal was to remain a part of the community here locally. However, there is a limited existing refrigerator and freezer real estate here locally, and presented a challenge to the business. However, one opportunity presented itself, and that is the former Cleveland Food Bank in the Collinwood neighborhood. This former food bank has a little over 41,000 square feet of refrigerator and freezer space, very suitable for the business. 4 sites across the city of Cleveland and Columbus will consolidate into this one location. This will actually help to reduce the operating costs for the business overall, which is fantastic to hear. Some help was needed to make this relocation a success, and this is where the county can play a role in the success of this relocation. A part of the project is retaining jobs. 122 jobs will operate out of this location. 7 would be new to the county. We will be helping to turn a vacant space into a vibrant distribution center. In addition, the impact on the community stems really from the Cleveland Metro Parks participation. Knowing that the Cleveland Metro Parks wants to turn the existing property into a welcoming, walkable area on the riverfront is fantastic news for us. The county loan. Our loan is at $920,800 with an interest rate of 3% over 10 years. The repayment on that is the 120 months with principal and interest payments collected together. Sources and uses of the project. You can see here in front of you, the total project is just over $2 million. There's a Chase Bank loan as a part of the capital stack, including our loan at that $920,800, which is 40% of the total project cost. The city of Cleveland is involved with a grant, and then owner equity rounds out the capital stack. Uses of the project, you'll see that the construction costs make up the majority of the uses of funds, alongside equipment cost, moving cost, and signage. And we'll conclude with collateral. We'll be taking collateral on the equipment at this location. We'll take a third position lien. We factored in a discount rate of 60% to calculate our loan to value. Reason being is because we know that equipment depreciates over time. So we had to factor that into our calculation. We ended up with a loan to value at 74%. It should be noted that Mr. John Catanese will be a personal guarantee, he will provide a personal guarantee for this loan. Mr. Catanese's balance sheet and historical financials were taken into consideration, which presented a very strong support for this guarantee. With that, and finally, I'll note that the deal was vetted and approved by our CCCIC body, who recommended that we present to this body. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'll conclude, and we will take questions.
So the original location, was that in the flats?
Correct.
Okay, and that was sold to the Metro Parks?
Yes. Yes,
Very
Mr.
good.
Chairman.
Is that part of the owner equity, some of the funds from that sale, or?
That's likely, yes.
Okay. And again, this is a low rate of 3% compared to 5.5 normal. There's a reason for that, I assume?
Yes, this is in support of a local small business that, is expanding and also helping make way in the flats for the Metro Parks. So as, had it not been for the Metro Parks, they might have stayed at that current location. And they had it, also staying within the city of Cleveland and Cuyahoga County.
Is this a purchase of the property or sublease? I'm sorry if I missed that.
They are leasing the space.
It's a lease, so the best security we have is a guarantee on the equipment. Okay.
That's correct.
Well, I guess when Mr. Cantnies can come up and I'll ask
Yes.
questions if this is a good time.
I'm glad you called me up. I wanted to thank everybody for considering us for the loan.
Sure. And Mr. Cantonese, can you state your name for the
My
record?
name is John Catnies.
Thank you.
My older brother, you saw in the picture over there, is not well. He would be with us today. But I'm very excited about the project. We've been in business. It would be our 42nd year in May. We're starting. In 1982, I used to cut class from Cleveland St. Joe's, and I would sneak into my car, my 71 Dodge Dart Swinger, as they were saying, to help my brother deliver fish. In the location that we actually just sold, my parents and I and my brother would be driving the boat. We had a little tiny boat, an 18-footer, and we'd go by and I'd say, state fish over there. And I said, Dad, we're going to buy that building someday. We're going to be in that building. And so many years later, we were able to do that. How I was able to sneak out of school is I used to go to church every day with the whole faculty. And so I was a captain of the baseball team, so I had to get back at the end of the day to actually, so I would be able to play. And so the dean of students, I was actually dating his daughter at the time, so he said, Johnny, what happened? How did you get out of class? I said, well, I was here this morning. I saw you in church. Didn't you see me? He said, yeah. He goes, this must have been a mistake, and he would throw it away, and I'd say it was. But we were very lucky, and we've had such a great run with the city of Cleveland and everything. We sold the property down there to the Metro Parks because we felt like they would be a better use than us. We were going to try to add on to the building and everything, and we thought that it was such a beautiful area. I don't know if you've ever been there. We're at the narrowest point of the river, so the beautiful freighters come by and everything, and it's actually a wonderful place to be. And we feel that they're going to help with the walkway. They're going to connect everything all the way down to the lake. So we're very excited about that. We actually have gotten a loan from the county before that we paid off early as well. So we have another building on 55th and Chester that we currently are in, that Aaron was telling you about. And we are going to sell that as soon as we can, as soon as we get out of the thing, so that will help our financial position as well.
I have a question, if I can. Your three principles, one was environment, sustainability, and traceability. So are you speaking to where you get your source of the fish?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, tell me about that.
The global market, as everyone knows, we get fish from all over the world, which again, they're talking about tariffs before. It's gonna provide hoops that we have to jump through again. But yeah, we only buy from people that are aligned with our principles and how we see things. We want to buy from sustainability. For instance, we buy Lake Erie perch from here. So my brother and I were actually on TV a few years ago, some food show about wild things that you would eat. So the Lake Erie fishery here is 100% green by the Monterey Bay. So what that means is we would go out on a boat, and we were out on the boat, and we would catch walleye, we would catch carp, we would catch all kind of white fish and different things. And we weren't able to keep those, so we would actually, it's a live catch. So we'd pull them in the boat and we'd throw them back and they would swim away. And the yellow perch that were right size, we would catch those. So it's very similar with that. We buy from sustainable places as far as like, they talk about farm-raised fish and different things from all over the world. We buy from the ones that have huge pens, that they don't overcrowd the pens, and the feed is indigenous to the area and everything, so it doesn't have any impact on the areas.
Thank you about that. You know, there's that a whole human rights issue with regard to fishing in different countries, Vietnam, I think, and how the exploitation of the workers that are stuck in these boats, and it's really egregious. So is that part of this consortium that you're able to at least get some indication of that?
Yes, we don't buy anything.
You have a way to kind of get,
Yes.
know that? Okay. Okay, thanks.
So, is the loan fully amortized for the 10-year period?
Yes, it is.
And regarding the former food bank facility on Waterloo, is the food bank continuing to use any of that space, or is it entirely vacant?
No, sir. The food bank themselves have moved their operations to their new facility, which I'm sure you all are very aware. They have subleased space in that facility, but the majority of the space will be occupied by Catanese Classic Seafood.
So, the food bank is still doing their community resource program from there, or is that also moved to the new facility?
If you don't mind, I can answer that question. They actually are still, they have the community outreach that's still there. There's still very many wonderful people from the food bank that are helping the community, and they are there. We're really looking forward to our partnership with them. The more I meet with all of them, the more, they're just wonderful people trying to help the community. So we're excited to be part of that community.
And is there additional vacant space at the food bank facility that's available?
I believe there's a little bit more dry space there. They told us that we would be, if we got bigger, that we would be able to take up more space for them. There's also property adjacent with the building that they said if we needed to expand, we could build something onto the side of the building as well. But there's just a little bit of limited dry space area left.
Okay, thank you.
So, quick fish story. Do you have fish flown in?
We do. We have fish flown in every day.
Yeah.
We mostly truck now since 9/11 and everything and the pandemic, but we do still fly fish in every day. We get fish from Alaska. We get a lot of different salmon and halibut and different things from there. We also get things flown, live lobsters flown in from Boston, and all kind of ground fish from there as well.
So part of my various things I did after I retired from my first life was I worked at the airport unloading airplanes for Continental and then United before they ruined a great airline, and I got laid off. But the part of it was the waxed cardboard boxes full of fish that would come in.
I know it very well. I used to go pick up there all the time when I was in high school.
The summertime, it was a rather smelly and slippery inside of an airplane trying to get that stuff out of there, so, yeah.
I'm sorry, I never got in the airplane, but I was definitely at the air cargo all the time. The guys were like, I don't know how you do this.
Yeah, it was kind of terrible, actually. Okay, is there any other questions or comments?
Through the chair, I just want to say thank you for being here. I read a little bit about, your family's history, and to me, the work that you do and your organization is a Cleveland success story. We're a city of immigrants, and I think about, my grandfather coming back from World War II and just all these kind of movers and shakers. So things like this is how we keep moving forward as a region, and the growth of your organization is a perfect example of that. So,
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
you know, I'm not on this committee, but I'm excited to see how this moves forward. So thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. Yeah, my grandparents were immigrants as well.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. If there's no other comments or questions,
Through the chair, can I
Yes.
add my name?
Turner's name, please.
This young man seems to have been resourceful for a very long time. Thank you.
Okay. I'll make a motion to move this item to the full body of council for a second reading. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Is there anything else?
There's no other matters for consideration today.
Okay. Then we will be adjourned.